The studio lights beamed down on the set of The View, where the co-hosts were seated in their usual semi-circle, ready for another day of hot topics and celebrity interviews. Joy Behar, with her signature sharp wit and no-holds-barred opinions, was in fine form. Her red blouse matching the fiery energy she brought to every episode. Across from her sat Jelly Roll, the country rap sensation whose real name is Jason DeFord. Looking a bit out of place in his casual tattoo-covered arms and baseball cap, but excited to promote his latest album and share his story of redemption from a troubled past. The audience applauded warmly as Whoopi Goldberg introduced him, recounting his journey from prison to stardom, his advocacy for mental health, and his hit songs that resonated with millions. Jelly Roll smiled humbly, thanking the hosts for having him and expressing how surreal it was to be on national TV after years of struggling. The conversation started light-hearted, with Sonny Hostin asking about his music inspirations and Sarah Haynes complimenting his raw lyrics. But as the segment progressed, Joy Behar steered the discussion toward politics, a staple on the show, probing Jelly Roll on his views about criminal justice reform, given his personal history. He responded thoughtfully, emphasizing second chances and rehabilitation over punishment, drawing from his own experiences with addiction and incarceration. Joy nodded initially, but then interjected with a pointed question about celebrity influence in politics, suggesting that artists like him might be overstepping by endorsing certain candidates without full expertise. Jelly Roll chuckled at first, defending his right to speak out as an American citizen who had seen the system's flaws firsthand. The tension was subtle at this point, with the other hosts trying to keep things balanced. But viewers at home could sense a brewing storm as Joy's tone sharpened, accusing him of glamorizing his past crimes in his music, which she claimed sent the wrong message to impressionable youth. Jelly Roll paused, his face hardening slightly. But he maintained composure, explaining that his art was about honesty and growth, not glorification. The audience murmured in agreement, some clapping for his response, while Joy rolled her eyes dramatically, a move that didn't go unnoticed. As the commercial break approached, the exchange grew more heated, with Joy doubling down on her critique, calling his tattoos and style a bad boy image that perpetuated stereotypes. Jelly Roll leaned forward, his voice rising just a notch, countering that her judgment was based on superficial assumptions, without understanding his full story. The segment ended abruptly for the break, leaving the panel in awkward silence, and social media already buzzing with clips of the uncomfortable moment. Back from commercial, the atmosphere was electric, with Whoopi trying to pivot to lighter fare. But Joy wasn't done, circling back to the topic with a sarcastic remark about celebrities, thinking they're experts on everything. This time, Jelly Roll didn't hold back, his southern drawl intensifying as he passionately defended his authenticity, sharing anecdotes from his life that illustrated his points. The clash was now front and center, captivating the live audience who gasped at each verbal jab. As the debate intensified on the set of The View, Jelly Roll's frustration became palpable, his hands gesturing emphatically while Joy Behar maintained her trademark smirk, unfazed by the growing discord. She pressed him on his political endorsements, particularly his support for certain reforms that she viewed as too lenient, arguing that society needed stricter measures to deter crime rather than what she called coddling former offenders. Jelly Roll, drawing from his own transformation, countered that empathy and support systems were key to reducing recidivism. Citing statistics and personal testimonies from people he'd helped through his foundation, the other co-hosts chimed in variably. Alyssa Farah Griffin offered a moderate perspective, agreeing with parts of both sides, while Anna Navarro passionately backed Jelly Roll's call for compassion in the justice system. But Joy wasn't swayed, interrupting him mid-sentence with a quip about how easy it is for celebrities to preach from their mansions, far removed from everyday struggles. This struck a nerve with Jelly Roll, who had openly discussed his ongoing battles with weight, sobriety, and mental health, reminding everyone that his success didn't erase his roots in poverty and hardship. The audience erupted in applause for him, but Joy waved it off, saying the crowd was starstruck and not thinking critically. The back and forth escalated, with Jelly Roll accusing Joy of being out of touch with real-world issues, her privileged position on TV shielding her from the realities faced by those in the system. She fired back, labeling his response as defensive and typical of someone avoiding accountability. Whoopi attempted to mediate, suggesting they agree to disagree, but the damage was done. The energy in the room was charged, and viewers could feel the authenticity of the confrontation through their screens. Social media exploded during the show, with hashtags like #FayJellyRolVsJoy trending as fans clipped and shared the heated moments. Jelly Roll's supporters praised his poise under pressure, while Joy's fans defended her right to challenge guests. The segment, meant to be promotional, had turned into a viral spectacle, drawing comparisons to past explosive interviews on the show. As the discussion veered into personal territory, Joy questioned Jelly Roll's parenting choices, implying his past might affect his role as a father, which he vehemently denied, sharing heartfelt stories about his family and commitment to being better. This personal attack seemed to cross a line, with even the other hosts looking uncomfortable, exchanging glances as the tension peaked. Jelly Roll's voice cracked slightly with emotion, not from weakness but from raw passion, as he stood up for his integrity. The live broadcast captured every nuance, from facial expressions to body language, making it must-see TV. Producers in the control room scrambled to manage the runtime, but the authenticity kept the cameras rolling. By the end of this portion, it was clear this wasn't just a debate. It was a clash of worlds, between a street, smart survivor and a seasoned commentator, each unyielding in their views. The turning point came swiftly on the View's set, where what started as a civil disagreement between Jelly Roll and Joy Behar morphed into a full-blown confrontation that left everyone stunned. Joy, known for her unfiltered commentary, made a remark about Jelly Roll's music potentially influencing youth negatively, comparing it to glorifying gang culture, which he took as a direct insult to his artistic intent and cultural background. He responded by highlighting the hypocrisy in her words, pointing out how mainstream media often sensationalizes violence while criticizing artists who speak truth from experience. The audience gasped as his tone shifted from defensive to assertive, his eyes locking onto Joy's with intensity. She laughed it off at first, but then leaned in, challenging him to explain why he hadn't done more advocacy work earlier in his career, implying opportunism now that he was famous. This accusation ignited Jelly Roll's fuse. He raised his voice, not yelling but firm, recounting the years he spent in prison reflecting and changing, and how his music was his way of giving back. The co-hosts tried to interject, Sunny with legal insights, Sarah with empathetic questions, but the spotlight remained on the dueling pair. Joy, undeterred, pivoted to his appearance, joking about his tattoos scaring conservative viewers, which drew mixed reactions from the crowd. Jelly Roll shot back that her jokes were outdated and judgmental, masking deeper biases against people like him who didn't fit the polished TV mold. The exchange grew personal, with Joy referencing past interviews where guests clashed similarly, positioning herself as the truth teller. But Jelly Roll wasn't backing down, sharing a vulnerable moment about his struggles with depression and how dismissive attitudes like hers contributed to societal stigma. The live feed captured the raw emotion, with close-ups showing beads of sweat on his forehead and Joy's crossed arms in defiance. Viewers at home were glued to their screens, tweeting furiously about the authenticity rarely seen on daytime TV. As the segment dragged on beyond schedule, producers signaled for a wrap, but the passion couldn't be contained. Jelly Roll emphasized that shows like The View should foster understanding, not division, while Joy countered that tough questions were essential for real dialogue. The clash highlighted broader cultural divides between entertainment and activism, past mistakes and present growth. Even as tempers flared, there was an undercurrent of respect, or at least mutual acknowledgement of strong convictions. The audience alternated between cheers and boos, creating a chaotic symphony that amplified the drama. By now, the internet was ablaze, with memes and reaction videos popping up in real time. This wasn't scripted entertainment. It felt like a genuine eruption of clashing ideologies, making it all the more compelling. As the break loomed again, the panel sat in uneasy silence, the air thick with unresolved tension. In a moment that would go down in TV history, Jelly Roll finally erupted on The View, his composure cracking under the relentless probing from Joy Behar. It started when she made a snide comment about his weight loss journey, suggesting it was for image rather than health, tying it back to his reinvention narrative. This personal dig was the last straw. Jelly Roll stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor, and unleashed a torrent of words that silenced the studio. "You sit here judging me without knowing half my story," he boomed, his voice echoing through the microphones as he pointed emphatically. "I've fought demons you couldn't imagine, and I won't let you diminish that for a soundbite." The audience erupted in a mix of shock and support, some standing to applaud while others whispered in disbelief. Joy, taken aback, but quick to recover, tried to interject with, "That's not what I meant." But Jelly Roll continued, pacing slightly as he vented about the elitism in media that overlooks real struggles. Whoopi Goldberg jumped in, urging calm and reminding everyone it was live TV. But the damage was irreversible. The raw outburst had humanized the clash, showing Jelly Roll's vulnerability beneath his tough exterior. Sarah Haynes looked concerned, offering words of support, while Anna Navarro nodded in agreement with his points. Joy, however, doubled down subtly, saying she was just asking hard questions, but her usual confidence seemed shaken by the intensity. The cameras captured every angle: Jelly Roll's flushed face, clenched fists, and passionate delivery that resonated with anyone who'd felt judged. Social media platforms crashed under the weight of live reactions, with fans hailing him as a hero for standing up to a bullying on air. Critics of Joy praised the moment as overdue accountability, while her defenders called it an overreaction. The eruption lasted mere minutes but felt eternal, with Jelly Roll concluding by saying, "I came here to inspire, not to be torn down," before sitting back down, breathing heavily. The co-hosts navigated the awkward aftermath, with Sunny shifting to a neutral topic, but the energy remained charged. Producers scrambled behind the scenes, debating whether to cut to commercial early, but the live format demanded they press on. This explosive display wasn't just about the clash. It symbolized larger frustrations in celebrity interviews, where guests are expected to endure scrutiny without retort. Jelly Roll's fans flooded his accounts with messages of solidarity, boosting his album sales in real time. Joy, ever the professional, composed herself, but the incident would spark debates about host-guest dynamics on talk shows. As the show continued, the panel attempted humor to diffuse, but the authenticity of the eruption lingered, making it a pivotal TV moment. Following Jelly Roll's explosive outburst on The View, the set descended into a brief chaos before order was restored, with the co-hosts working overtime to salvage the segment. Whoopi Goldberg, as moderator, took charge, acknowledging the passion on both sides and steering the conversation toward common ground on mental health awareness, a cause close to Jelly Roll's heart. He calmed down gradually, wiping his brow and apologizing for the volume, but not the sentiment, emphasizing that his reaction stemmed from years of being misunderstood. Joy Behar, regaining her poise, offered a half-smile and conceded that perhaps her questions came across harsher than intended, though she stood by her right to probe. The audience, still buzzing from the drama, applauded the tentative reconciliation, sensing a shift from confrontation to dialogue. Sarah Haynes shared her own experiences with judgment, bridging the gap, while Alyssa Farah Griffin highlighted the importance of diverse viewpoints. The remainder of the interview focused on Jelly Roll's upcoming projects, his charity work, and lighter anecdotes from his life on the road. Yet, the earlier clash cast a shadow, with subtle glances and careful wording indicating lingering tension. Off air during the break, reports later surfaced of a quick huddle where apologies were exchanged, though neither party fully backed down. The show's producers reveled in the ratings boost, as viewership spiked dramatically post-eruption. In the green room afterward, Jelly Roll reflected on the experience, later posting on social media about the importance of standing up for oneself, which garnered millions of likes. Joy, in subsequent episodes, referenced the incident humorously, turning it into a teachable moment about heated debates. Media outlets dissected the clash, with pundits analyzing body language and word choices, some praising Jelly Roll for authenticity, others critiquing Joy for pushing too far.